The Cycle Frontier is a brand new game releasing on June 8th, and it is a high-risk looter shooter similar to Escape from Tarkov, and this is a new PvP VE game where you land into a planet called Fortuna 3. You can loot, explore it freely, fight against other monsters, other real-life players, and then you attempt to evacuate successfully, but if you don't manage to evacuate and you die inside of Fortuna 3, you lose everything. We're gonna get into some of the more details of how you can keep some stuff if you do die in there, but let's get into why I'm so excited for this game. So if you don't know about the Cycle Frontier, basically it's a brand new genre of game that's really rarely been introduced into the gaming industry. We only have a couple of games that follow this certain plan where you land into said planet or you land into said map, you gather loot, you try to do missions, and then if you don't evacuate successfully, you lose everything. Comparing this to Call of Duty where you just die and you can keep going with the same loadout, you just keep going, death isn't really a problem. In this game, death is a major problem because you can lose everything in a snap of the fingers. The Cycle Frontier had some very successful betas, and that's why we're going to go over what happened in those betas and what they're changing to make the full game release on June 8th really good. So this is the blog post that the Cycle Frontier actually published, and I went ahead and highlighted some of the important parts that we're going to talk about in this video. Again, you can jump to certain areas if you'd like, but we're going to talk about everything today. So one of the problems in the beta was that the power progression was very difficult to deal with. If you were in a 3v1 say, because you can only have groups of 3, 2, or 1 in this game, and you were fighting against a team that had the best armor in the game, say pink armor, and you had measly green or blue, there was a very drastic difference in your armor penetration, which is basically how much damage the guns can do to your armor, and you really had no chance because some guns and some armors combined would make people basically unkillable if you didn't have the top tier weapons. But they addressed all of these situations very well, and they changed a lot of the stuff, and it's a very positive improvement. So power progression curve gives a big advantage to better geared players, and it was a big point of frustration. As they say, they want the gear in this game to feel like it's worth the investment. You know, if you're a very rich player, you should have the top of the top gear, and if you're a very poor player, you should be at the bottom of the bottom, but you should still have a fighting chance. So right here they say the best gear, epic and exotic, which are the top 2 tiers of armor, it won't be as powerful against lower tier gear. They basically want to make it so the biggest gaps in armor will be in the very beginning. So from white to green to blue, it will be the most significant change when you're increasing the armor. But when you go from blue to purple to pink, it'll be very smaller adjustments. Imagine you're buying a Lamborghini, you want to upgrade the interior. You already have a Lamborghini and you want to get it to be even better. These are just luxury improvements that you can make because you're so rich. And it applies to here as well. So if you're so rich that you're thriving, you have blue armor, you have purple, and you want to make the adjustment to pink armor, you can. It won't make that big of a difference, but it might make the difference in your gunfight. Now for the weapons that we experienced in the Cycle Frontier in the beta, there were some SMGs that did really well, and I, honest to God, thought they were ARs because they did so well, because there was no damage drop off. If you were shooting at a guy that was 200 meters away and then another guy that was 20 meters away, if you hit every shot on both guys, which is very hard obviously because they're very far away, it would do the same amount of damage. There was no damage drop off on SMGs, so they just changed that. So now there's actual damage drop off in most weapons besides the sniper rifles for obvious reasons, and that was the main GIF on the weapon, so they just added that. And now we're going to go into the campaign progression, which is basically the missions of the game. So the campaign, all in all, it was pretty good. I had no real complaints. There were some missions that were a little tedious, like some drop box where you had to bring some items to a certain drop box. At one point you had to get a big skull from, say, a science lab, and it said on the mission to go to a certain area, but you really couldn't find that area because it wasn't on the map. You had to Google it or something to actually find it. But here they go over everything. So a common point of criticism that they said were some missions were a little bit too grindy, and I agree with that completely. They agree with us as well, which is awesome to hear from the developers, and they've already done multiple tuning passes to make it feel better, so when we get into the full game, hopefully it'll feel a whole lot better for us. So for the unclear hints and guidance, they did have some errors, and they called some places, say, power plant on Crescent Falls, but it was actually called geothermal plant, and they just adjusted all these errors and made the missions actually much more easy to do because you know where to go now. Also, the mission rewards in the game were very lackluster. Like I'd do 1-2 missions and I'd maybe get like a mushroom cap or something, just nothing really special. And they said they're gonna up it and give us shields, helmets, guns, backpacks, consumables, and every now and then key cards. And key cards are really exciting to hear. For unique missions, they had a lot of good missions, and they weren't really repetitive. Like they didn't have the same mission over and over again, like go collect stuff, like different items just after every mission, go collect this, then go collect this. They didn't really have that. They had to go to a place, get this, go kill this, this. Go over here and kill this. You know, they had all different stuff. It was really, really good. So now for the matchmaking and basically dropping on the planet. This, I know it as basically skill-based matchmaking, and this is how they're going to go about it. So they want to protect the new players, obviously, because again, if you're very new to the game, it can be very confusing. Again, as I said in Tarkov doesn't care. If you load into a game, you're going to die minimum literally 100 times before you actually shoot your gun, let alone get a kill. So in the Cycle Frontier, they're going with a new method, which is the bucket approach, which I agree with. So when you're a new player, you're going to have obviously these easier lobbies in the beginning, and once you get to a certain level, you get thrown into the bucket with the normal players. So you're going to be in your own bucket over here, and then once you're a high enough level, you're going to be shifted to this bucket, and this bucket kind of elongates to the normal gameplay. But when you're a new player, you go here, and then you transfer to the normal area of normal players. The skill-based matchmaking isn't really that bad. I didn't really have an issue with it, so I think they did a great job on that part. Now for dungeons, I am so excited for dungeons. I don't think I've been this excited for anything in a while, because I was imagining in my head, imagine they have a dungeon where they have some kind of flying PvE animal, and they have a big boss, and they have these crates full of loot, and then you have to evac. But then there's all sorts of problems, like is there only one exit? Is there only one entrance? Can it be camped easily? How close to an evac will it be? There's a lot of different aspects, and you have to be really, really careful when you go into one of these. That's going to be really exciting to see, because we haven't seen it yet. And also on the social aspect of the game, they basically have the station where you load into a game. You have all your different factions you can go to. You have your player house, so you could call it, where you go in there. You upgrade your generators, which gives you money. You can upgrade your stash, which is where you keep all your stuff. And there's a lot of different things going on. And now they're basically saying that there's going to be some other guys there. So you're going to have a multiplayer station. You're going to see other people, see their cosmetics, see all that good stuff. And you can kind of show off what you got. And also, they just released the date for the launch of the game, which is really exciting. So basically the game's releasing on June 8th, as we said in the beginning. It is the full game, but season 1 will begin the 22nd, and this includes the battle pass and stuff like that. There's no wipe between both dates, so if you start playing on June 8th, you're gonna have all your stuff on the 22nd, which is really exciting. So basically from the beta, they say they've improved weapon balancing, progression, AI, as we spoke about before, and they've also reworked some areas that were a little bit annoying to some players. As some areas you were kind of stuck and you couldn't get out, there was no way to get out, and so they just fixed those areas. And now they're talking about the dwellers and the dungeon and all this different stuff with these amazing dungeons that we'll see in action. Hopefully they'll be really good. They're also saying that you'll have full character customization at the launch of the game. So June 8th, you'll have full access to character customization, but you won't have that battle pass till the 22nd, which is sad, but we'll see it in about 2 weeks after the game's release. They did have a trailer that I'll link down below if you want to see it. It was super well made. I thought they did such a great job with the trailer. So that's basically all I got for you guys. I am so excited for the Cycle Frontier. This game is going to leave a mark on the gaming community, and I am sure that this game will be a great game. I am super excited. Hopefully you are too. Drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe, follow my Twitch, as I'm going to be streaming the Cycle almost every day when this game releases, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.